G'day punters, welcome back to the MacBet Early Move, where each week we preview the feature race in Brisbane on a Saturday. I'm your host, James Milner. Joining me as always, professional punter John McLeod, and Tommy Turbo joins us for the first time. Tom Henjak, welcome.
Thanks, James. Good to be here. Good to be part of MacBet.
Fantastic. Good to see you, mate. And we'll go through the formalities. How'd you get into punting, and what's your sort of angle betting here in Queensland?
I don't know, got into punting when I was at uni. I think I just kind of loved horse racing. Then the punting side kind of fell into place there. Met John at the track a couple of months ago. A few other guys there down at Brisbane every weekend, and been learning heaps since. And my angle focuses a lot on the maps and tempos of races, and basically knowing your horse and your jockeys and your trainers, kind of being able to anticipate what's going to happen in a race.
I think that's what really put me into what I was watching what you were doing and what the other guys were doing as well. Is what you were looking at was very similar to what we did, and we're sort of very slanted towards the maps and knowing your horse and lots of stuff and the speed of the races and bias and everything. And it's sort of not automated our stuff, but it's half automated. And just what I've seen with what you've done and what I've seen in the last couple of weeks, I think you're going to bring something positive to MacBet. That's for sure, Tom.
Absolutely. And we farewelled Mitchell Spears, jockey manager. He's done a great job for us for how long do you reckon now, John? A few years.
Wow, God, it's must be 5. Well, it was only about he joined us when he was still riding. So
right.
That was that's a fair few years ago. And Mitch, he sort of didn't. We pushed him into Hong Kong a little bit, and I think he didn't really. He really wanted to stay in Brisbane, a lot, and so I think he wanted to just give it a go himself out there, and just probably doing a few races that I was doing. And really, the way our setup is, you can't really do both. You've got to sort of do one or the other. You can have a look at it, but you sort of you just haven't got the time to really be crunching, everything. So I think I think probably Tom will be probably in the next 5 years or whatever, you'll probably branch out yourself as well, sort of thing. But everyone's got to have a crack and go out and do their own thing. It's just a matter of just learning what you can, and like I'm still learning, and you just never stop. So just new things happening all the time, and you just got to jump on them. And Mitch has learned what he thinks is he can live with, and go out and have a crack himself, and I can't blame him for doing
it. Yeah, we absolutely wish him the best of luck, and we're obviously going to have to focus a bit more on Queensland now with you guys and Tom sort of just joining. What's the go with Hong Kong at the moment? We've had a couple of sort of tough sort of results, so we're thinking about pulling back a little bit there.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's just the time. The time is getting away from us. We haven't got enough time to really spend enough on Hong Kong, and like we did a couple of years ago, or even last year, we were spending a lot more time. And so I think it's better, just for MacBet, just to close up shop a little bit and knuckle down on Queensland racing a little bit more, and we'll have a look at Hong Kong again next season. I've got a few things in the pipeline of trying to do a few things, and maybe that'll work, but I'll test it first before we do it. And it'll probably be a cheaper product, I would say, next year.
Yep.
And we'll see what happens. So I think Corey's coming online again with the league. He's going to do that again with you, James, and which is great. And so we'll see what happens. But your old man was a good footballer, Tommy, wasn't he? He was a cracker of a little halfback, that's for sure.
Yeah, I'd like to say that I was not nearly as good as what he was. Gave up league when I was about 15, and I'm pretty bad on the punt league-wise as well. So I look forward to getting some of Corey's stuff, that's for sure.
Hey, geez, I'm glad to hear that, because I'm the worst punter on football of all times.
I'm awful.
I don't know whether you have got too big of an opinion about certain players, and you think the team, it should win, but the team is always better than individuals. And I just can't get my head around, some blokes being half the quality of another bloke, and they still were able to get away with it. So I'll just put that in the bin. It's 80 minutes of hell for me.
We'll leave it in Corey's very capable hands, so we'll have some more updates about that. One last question for you, Tom. How are you finding John's way of doing things? Is it very different to yours? Are you learning a lot? I know it's only been a couple of weeks. You guys have been down there at the track for a couple of months now. It's a bit of a motley crew there with Yob and Lurs and whatnot, but how are you finding John's way of doing things?
Yeah, it was very similar to what I was doing already, but it's definitely increased and improved the way that I go about my stuff. And it's once I got my head around kind of the system, things just kind of fall into place. And yeah, I'm really enjoying having access to not only the database, but also John's intellect and kind of everything he knows about Brisbane racing.
For sure.
Or racing in general, actually, not just Brisbane racing.
That's right, but honing in on Queensland at the moment. We'll jump into the weekends. The Metro meeting heads north to the Sunshine Coast. Queensland Racing has it as a good 4. I'm not sure if I believe that. Is that correct, John?
Well, if it's raining down here, it's pissing down at the Sunshine Coast. So it's just that way. It's just that rains up there all the time. So, I think we seen it a couple of weeks ago that it was drying weather, and still the fence was the no-go zone. So, they're going to be coming down the middle of the track. Probably 4 off is okay early, and then it'll probably get to 6 or 7 off, later in the day. The wider they get, the better it'll be as the day goes on. So that's the way it'll play, and that's the way it's played forever and a day. So everyone will know it. And the best part about this, jockeys mostly, well, I was going to say mostly know what they're doing on this track, but there has been a couple of late who just didn't know. They wouldn't know if their others on fire.
Go on. I want a bit of jockey slander. Who are we not liking at the moment? Who's got the eyes closed?
Well, James Orman was one of them. He just didn't. He's a good jockey, but as far as bias jockeying goes, probably the 100th. But it'd be down the bottom of the list. And who else was out there? Just trying to remember a couple of horses that actually went back to the fence, and it was disgraceful. A few of them.
You don't want to bring that up again.
Yeah, it was one of those days. You sort of, I think the best jockeying I had seen for a long time that day was M. Rod on Heathcote's horse, who won the main race.
Yeah,
we went along at a pace that was solid without going stupid, and he just worked his way out to mid-track, or just probably 6 off, and then a couple of horses were starting to come at him, and he moved them out even further and over the hump. And it was just beautiful riding. He didn't touch them or didn't do anything, but he put them in a position that was terrible. And it was just great riding. And he's a bloke up here. Him and probably Thompson are the 2 blokes that I really like to back. They're very similar jockeys. Horses run for them. And I think Rod's got it on Thompson, but there's not a lot between the 2 of them, and I think those 2 blokes I'm very, very happy to be on.
And Tommy, we saw your hottest jockey power rankings on Twitter during the week. It wasn't the hottest riding form; it was the best looking. Which one's your hottest form jockey at the moment?
Yeah, same as John. Definitely, probably Michael, Rod, and Thompson. You can just tell that they're across the form and they're thinking about what's going to happen in a race. Like, as he said, Rod on Emerald Kingdom, he knew exactly what he was doing there, getting out to the right part of the track, which makes Sunny Coast a bit difficult on the weekend, because if they cotton on early, just because you're drawn wide and back doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be in the better lanes if the jocks up front get off the fence in the straight.
Yeah, it forces them out into a poor area, or it forces them into the bad or over the hump, when they get out there. So, you really, this is a strange type of scenario, because everyone expects this to happen. So they'll all head out there, and then, these midfield back horses, especially the ones that are wide, I don't want anything to do with them because they're going to be in no man's land. You know, they're just going to be put out of the race. But you know, in the first couple of races, a lot of the jockeys may not get out far enough. You know, and then that allows those blokes to get into the race. But especially from about race 4 onwards, I'm expecting them to be in a lot of trouble. Going back to Thompson, I think the one thing against him is I really don't think he should walk tracks. I seen him again yesterday walk Ipswich, and he was just walking around, you know, stamping his feet with jockey's boots on. You know, I don't know how he's going to actually work out how hard the track is by doing that. And then the other day, he might as well have been holding hands with Thornton when he was walking down the track. So I don't think that's his go. But his intention is great to go for a walk and have a look at the track is. But oh my God, even Nosy Tomazawa was walking probably 20 metres behind him with a stick, you know, punching, you know, working out what he was doing, sort of thing. So maybe he just needs to. I might have to hand him a piece of
an umbrella.
Yeah.
Well, it worked out all right the other day. You said Byrne wasn't holding hands, and he spanked him in the jockey challenge. So you're 1,000,000% profit on turnover there for the jockey challenge. Maybe we'll just stick to that going forward and see who's hand holding.
There's another guy. You know, the top like Nosy Tomazawa is one of them, and Michael Carl is another one. He walks the tracks and actually takes a stick with him. You know, it's pretty easy to see the ones that know what they're doing, and not as far as just walking it and saying, okay, I should walk this. It's taking something with them and giving himself the better guy. But stamping your feet, oh my God, maybe if you're my weight, you might have some hope. You know, working out if it's soft or heavy. But his weight, my God, it's a wonder why the grass didn't spring him over the rail. Oh God.
Right,
Anyway.
that's enough of that. Sunshine Coast Race 8 is where we're focusing on this weekend, the Tatt Members Cup over the 1,600 metres. Do we want just talk about how we think this race might be run, Tom or John? You guys consider it as tag team as you like, and dive on in.
Well, I don't think there's a lot of speed in the race. You know, Disillusion will come across from, you know, the 8 gate and lead these. You know, Hull Manhattan has been taking a sip from them over the mile because he wants to get the mile. And Wapiti, you know, slides over. Star of Michelin went forward the last time they were up there, so he'll probably try to go forward, but then take a sip as soon as he gets there. And then Willow Tito, I don't know what he'll do. Who's on him? Jake Baylor. So I'm not sure what he'll do. You know, in the trial, he went forward and got to second. It is possible. But, you know, he has had a bit of time off too, a little break. So whether, you know, he's got that in his mind that he can't use it up too much, well, maybe he's got to have to be a bit careful of how much he fires it up. So there's not going to be a lot of speed in this race, that's for sure. Have you had a look at it, Tom?
I've had a small look. Yeah, the only two I kind of had a real opinion on was Legulate and Matawi, but that was a bit of a funny run race last start at Eagle Farm, so I kind of wanted to get away from those two.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I can't believe Legulate's that price. You know, he can't stay that price because he's a back marker. He's got a bad gate. He's going to be back second last. No one wants to back those type of horses. It's race 8. Everyone's going to know where the best part of the track is. So he's in trouble. You know, he's got a great turn of foot, which he showed the other day. But, you know, on this, if the tracks are fairly wet or, you know, a soft 6 or something around that mark, well, his sprint is going to be dull and he's going to be back in the field. And whether the 1,600, I'm not totally sure he runs 1,600 really strong with on a speed that's pretty good. I don't know whether he can run that either. So the 280 or whatever it is just ridiculous, and I'm very happy to bet against it. I'm not saying the other one can't win. The Tower, I just don't know whether he wasn't suited going to the front the other day. He probably can. He's better going back, and I think he will go back. You know, from that gate, and you know he'll come quicker than he did the other day. You know, he'll fight on all right. So I think you mentioned it the other day, Tom, didn't you? Say that he's a better, he can be a bit in and out or something like
Yeah,
this.
he can tend to pull and over race a little, and yeah, he just kind of flopped on the lead there by default. Didn't really ever think he would lead there, but he did, and he was a bit of a drifter in betting as well, which was a bit strange. That was just kind of one-way traffic for Ligulate. They walked in front and it just had the sprint. But as you said, it's a different scenario here on Saturday.
Yeah, I think
that's the first couple in the market. Wapiti down the bottom, $6. I know you've backed that a few times recently, John. What's our thoughts there?
he's a chance, but he's $6 and he's going to be in the right position. There's no doubt about that. But I like All's Called Sophie's Gold Class. It's one of the ones that Rod pushed over the hump the other day, and was well backed last time. He just was 3 wide, she was 3 wide, which wasn't that big a problem, but it wasn't any help either. And she was coming all the way down the straight and got pushed over the hump. And then on the line, there was other horses that were sort of making ground on her, and then she left in the last little bit. So she was stronger than them really at the finish. So he just needs to, if Carl goes forward on this and just says, bugger it, I'm just going forward, and then we'll see how it plays out. I think she can get over into an okay spot, but if he comes out negative, he's probably going to be in the same areas where he was the other day, 3 wide and sort of run about 6th or 7th, and then it's a matter of whether that position is going to be any good or not. But I think she's got a great hope. I've got a favourite. So
one more there that you've got relatively short in the market, Star of Michelin, Sheridan Tomlinson on board. Is that one a chance there?
It's a chance, but I thought it was a weak win the other day. I didn't like it in the morning, and then when we got up there, everything started, especially when it went forward. It was sort of like a certainty in the run, and it fell in, and so it's a worry. But I do think there's a little bit left in it. I don't want to back it, but I might save on it if it gets out. I'm just hoping it stays around the $7 mark, and I won't be on it. But if it gets out $12 or something like that, I might throw something on it because it's going to get into the right spot and be there. But I sort of just really, this race all really depends on how much I want to knock around Sophie's Gold Class for the gate and where it's going to be. If I think it, if it goes forward, it's a 2-to-1 shot. That's what it is. And if it sits midfield, it's anywhere from probably a 3-to-1 shot to a 5-to-1 shot. So that's where I've got it, and I think it's a great bet, really.
Yep.
Just wish it had about 5 gate. It'd be beautiful.
Yeah, well, there's $8 on offer now, which looks really juicy. Outside of that, you said you maybe would save on Star of Michelin if it got out further, but that's probably the main play, is it? Sophie's Gold Class, that's probably our early move.
Yeah, that's the one to push into. I think it's $8 and $9 out there. I think that's great odds. I think it's the one to bet, and I think a few of these will shorten just because Legulate's been short. And I think it's got to start. It's got to start 5 to 2 or $3.50 or $3.70. It can't start under 2 just because of where it's going to be.
Sure thing. Well, that wraps up race 8 today. I think Tommy needs to get back to work. He's in the meeting room, and I'm on my lunch break as well. Us two actually have normal jobs, John.
Yeah,
you're at Eagle Farm. The Savo rain looks to have cleared up a little bit.
Yep, it's all good. It'll be okay. It only needs an hour, that track, and it'll be okay, sort of thing. So I think unless we have rain during the day, that's the problem there.
Sweet. All right, guys. Well, head to macbet.com.au if you want to get John and Tom's info now. We'll be betting all weekend. Thanks, guys, for tuning in.
Yeah, thanks, James.
Thank you.
Cheers.
See you, mate.